I think the racing today is really good, but they don't have men anymore.
No matter how bad you were hurt, you were never hurt.
We want you to start acting like a race car driver. Go out, get drunk, stay up late, sleep in the next day.
You look at 2001, Dale passing away, those cars were ready.
I believe he would have won that other championship. The biggest thing I regret in my career was getting back in the car too quick.
Welcome to Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, presented by NASCAR on Fox. And today we have one of the legends of our sport, one of our good friends for a long time, Mike Skinner. And thank you for taking the time today.
Absolutely.
Got you out of the mountains.
Been looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think as we've gone through the podcast, we've learned that we have a lot of listeners that really, really enjoy hearing about the past of people like you that have had such a good career in the sport, been a part of a lot of the building process of what NASCAR went through, whether it was the Truck Series or the Cup Series or whatever it was, and your own personal stories. So let's start today with just how did your career get started? You were a West Coast guy, and I love West Coast stories. So they all know I'm a little bit biased to West Coast people, but during your time, West Coast racing was really popular on the West Coast, but it was extremely hard for a West Coast guy to get to the East Coast for a while. And, you know, I think once you guys broke down, but tell us how your racing career started and where you started and kind of how it evolved into getting that opportunity with the trucks.
Well, back here, especially up north, they can race 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
And out there, we'd race couple times a month or 3 times a month. It was a lot different there, but I started, it's crazy. I had a really fast street car. It was a 71 Roadrunner, and used it for a trophy car one week, totaled the car the next week out on a road going way faster than I should have been going.
Yeah.
And the insurance company totaled it, and we bought it back. And my friend Alan Cossack says, "You're crazy as hell. You're always out running the cops. You're always doing crazy stuff. You should make we called them hardtop. You should make a hardtop out of that thing." So we did, and flipped it end over end for very first night and rolled it at Susanville.
At Susanville, yeah.
And let it set for a few weeks, and we went out there and said, let's crank this thing up. The body's tore all to pieces, but let's see if it still runs. And it did. Anyway, long story short, we went back and won the next 6 races, ended up winning the championship.
Yeah.
And this beat up Roadrunner. And I got hooked. I always wanted to be a billiards professional.
Really?
And when I was a kid, I was raised in a tavern. And so I practiced every day, and then I'd play at night and worked really, really, really hard at it and got pretty good at it. I'm glad I figured out how to race, because now I'm old and can't see. I'd be going broke trying to shoot
I'm right
pool
there with you on that.
Yeah. But when I found out that I was better at driving a race car than I was playing pool, I got hooked on it, and we started. We ran. I guess we won 3 dirt track championships, and said I'm ready to go asphalt racing. So I bought an Outlaw sprint car, and took it down to West Capitol Speedway. It was actually an asphalt car that we converted over, and got to run against Sammy and Steve Kinzer and those guys. It was so cool. I'll never forget as long as I live. And I basically started in the back of the B main, I think, and came up, finished second, and started in the back of the A main, came up, spun out, all the way to the back, came up, spun out, all the way in the back 3 times, ended up finishing 4th in the thing, and Steve Kinzer won the race, and they were coming up to me going, "Who are you? I mean, you're crazy. What's going on? You just drove the wheels off that thing." I'm like, "Well, I didn't know any better." And so I did that for a little while, but we ended up going back and taking what I guess our Roadrunner would have been called a hobby stock maybe.
Okay.
And then went to the super stock where you could have a built motor and bigger tires, and just started going around Northern California and running the big races, the fair races, and all dirt, and then we'd go into Carson City and race in asphalt, and just got hooked. Next thing you know, I was building my own motors. We'd go buy cylinder heads from Yule Brothers out there. And
so did you work as well during the week?
Yeah, I was a well driller.
Okay.
I had a well drilling business. And so, you drill wells all day, work on the race car all night, half the night, rinse and repeat. And I was building my own motors, and I was at Roseville, Sacramento, and same story, came from the back, won the B main, went to the A main, and finished in the top 2 or 3. And Terry Elledge, which you probably remember Terry Elledge, came to my motorhome, and he goes, "No offense," he says, "but your car, I mean, did you set that car up?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Man, that thing's really fast in the corner." He goes, "I don't know who builds your motors, but looks like that thing struggles on the straightaway." I go, "Well, I do." He goes, "Well, I'm sorry. I didn't want to offend you." Anyway, we cut a deal, and Terry started building my motors, and we went from we'd go to Bakersfield and run 4th every week.
Yeah.
We immediately started winning. And boy, it's a different world when you thing handles on the straightaway.
Oh yeah. Makes a big difference.
It really does. So
makes the driver's job a lot easier at that point. So you go and you finally get a break with the engine side of it. Mm-hmm. So on the late model side, when did you start venturing outside of California? Did you ever go outside of California, or did you just primarily stay on the East Coast? Did you ever start venturing out and getting an opportunity anywhere else?
Not really. I mean, we'd go to Nevada and race. We'd go around Sacramento. We went to Arizona, went to Phoenix, Vegas. Not really.
Yeah.
We were just basically a West Coaster. And first of all, we didn't have any money.
Yep.
And just really didn't have. I had local sponsors. I had a beer sponsor, which Coors gave us an old hauler that we towed the trailer with. And we basically just stayed there. And Terry moved from Reading to back east, took Petty Enterprises engine program over from Maurice. Mm-hmm. And he said, "I'll give you a job working in the engine shop if you want to move back here and try to make it as a race car driver." And I said, I don't know. I don't know if I can handle it or not. I don't know if I can beat those guys or not. But I know that when we ran the big open comp races out there, Ruttman would come out there and Dick Trickle and, some of Larry Degents and some of the really, really good guys. And we could beat them sometimes. And so I'm like, I'll give it a shot. So moved back, went to work for Petty Enterprises. I think I made $205 a week take home there. It was very humbling for a guy that had his own well drilling business a year before.
So you go back to the engine shop and you get the opportunity to work. When did the opportunity start to drive other things?
I was riding my motorcycle up the Randleman Road one day, and I look over and I see this old, and I knew exactly what it was. It was an old Third Design Hal chassis sitting alongside the road. And I stopped in there. It was a body shop, another body shop. And this guy named Reggie Newman said, "Yeah, we're getting ready to go run, Caraway Speedway or somewhere." And I'm like, "Okay." I said, "You need any help?" He goes, "Yeah." So I helped him put a body on it. And of course, there was no rules. We had that thing so cheated up. It was amazing. And we went down to test the car, and he rode around there around 21 seconds or something. He says, I don't know if I can tell you what's wrong with this car, but if you'll take a couple laps in it. So I jump out there and run 1780s and 90s. And he goes, "Okay, you're the driver." And that's how I got my first late model ride back here. And so we started winning a lot and doing well. And kind of took off.
Yeah. And, I think that as you go through that time period, you make the move from west to east. You get to start to get the recognition as being able to win on the East Coast. That probably changed some of the conversation as you got your opportunity for the truck ride. So explain how that all happened.
You've probably heard this story from your ex-boss before.
Yeah, but I think they're good stories, and I think that the fans will appreciate just how those things used to work, because it's fun when you go back and you look at that truck series. And I watched it in Bakersfield. I mean, there were 6 of those trucks. They put on exhibition races the first year, and then all of a sudden, it became a thing. And I think that we had Hornaday on and listening to his stories with Dale. Your stories are very similar to how you got started and how you got the call from Richard and how that whole process started.
So oddly enough, Kevin, it really wasn't much different racing back here than it was out there. We still were broke. We were still struggling. We still had to work our ass off all night to make stuff happen. And, I was having success. And Mike Dillon he probably had the biggest sponsored late model car here. I think it was Performance Plus car or whatever. And so we would we'd go to Martinsville. We won the big races. We'd go to Myrtle Beach, go to New River Valley. I think it was called Pulaski back then, and Tri-County and Hickory. We even come up and ran Asheville. We just started winning a lot of the bigger races and just getting opportunities. And we were at New River Valley one night, and I was driving for Gene Petty, Richard's first cousin. And it was toward the end of the race, and I'm looking like I can either win the race or run in the top 2 or 3. Big crash. Here comes some guy, wide open, never checked up. Hits my left rear, runs up. His right front comes through the window, hits me in the head. Big black tire mark on my helmet, tears the A-post out, the windshield, tears the air cleaner off the car, the hood. And, Gene goes, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, get in here. As soon as they red flagged it, of course, get that thing in here and we want to make sure you're okay." And I said, "No, I'm still third." I said, I can't park it. I need the money. And so he questioned it, but anyway, I stayed out there and ran really, really well.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Dillon saw that, and Richard, there was talks about the Truck Series, and I got an opportunity.
Yeah.
They said, Mike Dillon and Terry said, Skinner's crazy. He's going to tear up a lot of stuff. He's also going to get a lot of trophies.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I got my opportunity with Richard.
So you go and you start the truck process, and the truck racing. Then you had halfway breaks. You had a 3 truck. You had Hornaday in the truck. You had Ruttman. You had all these
Butch Miller,
short track legends. I mean,
really
that's basically
racers,
what the Truck Series became. It was the Truck Series became all the best short track racers in the country to kind of go to one spot, and all of a sudden you're putting on shows in Flemington, New Jersey, and Louisville, Kentucky, and Bakersfield, California. What was that like? The first year as you guys were traveling around and packed houses, and kind of the beginning of what I would consider the NASCAR heyday, from those mid '90s until the mid 2000s. It was a pretty cool time to be a part of the sport, but the Truck Series in specific.
It was insane, the transformation that it did with racing, even in the Cup Series. Because when all of us short track guys started truck racing, I'd go to the shop. Nothing was low enough, light enough, or left enough for me.
Tanks.
Yes, they were tanks.
Yeah.
And I'm wanting to drill holes and stuff and then tape over. I wanting to trick up the trailing arms. I wanting to put bite in the car. I'm wanting to do all these things to make it a short track piece.
Yeah.
And they finally fired me. Will Lynn, I came in the shop one day and Will says, "Hey, we want you to start acting like a race car driver." I'm like, "Well, I've never been a race car driver."
What's that mean?
So what's that mean? What do I do? He goes, go out, get drunk, stay up late, sleep in the next day. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And about 3 months later, he goes, you could come by and take the guys to lunch once in a while. That'd be okay. I'm like, you told me you didn't want me here anymore.
Yeah.
But I was blessed, and another well-known guy, Todd Barrier, Johnny Seiler, Jesse Koch. I had some amazing. We had in 2000 and I mean, in 95 and 96, we had the dream team. We had the best fabricators. We had good motors. Eddie Lanier was making good power for us. And we had really good chassis people and guys like Todd. Todd was my shock guy.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he's a rocket scientist. We were building stuff that was out there. And we won a bunch of races, and half the races we won in 95, we had dirt track shocks on the back of the car, you know? So it was a big transformation. Then you started seeing that go over into the Cup Series and the Busch Series at the time. Next thing you know, those cars are getting lighter and they're getting tricker and they're doing stuff. And, you know, when we started, the rule book was about this thick, and toward the end of 95, the rule book was that thick. And the end of 96, the rule book was that thick, just like the Cup Series.
Right.
And it was a big transformation for racing, in my opinion.
Yeah,
when the Truck Series was evolved.
When you look back at those truck days, I mean, I think back to you, Hornaday and Sprague, primarily. Mm-hmm. What was that like to compete against those two guys and the three of you? I mean, you guys were really the figureheads of the series, and on the racetrack it seemed fierce, but off the racetrack it was probably more entertaining than anything. I came in a little bit later, but was around Hornaday and Sprague more, but watched the three of you race. And so what was that competition like? Was it as fierce off the race? I mean, I know it wasn't as fierce off the racetrack, but off the racetrack, it seemed like it was as much fun as you probably ever had in your life. But on the racetrack, you guys would knock each other's doors in every week.
We hated each other on the racetrack and loved each other off the racetrack. Ron and I have been like that since the very first day we met. Yeah. And we would beat and bang and cuss and give each other the finger. And, I mean, you name it. It was full contact out there. And we would be sitting over at his motorhome or mine 20 minutes after the race was over having a beer. Yeah. But if you touched Jack... cancel Christmas. Yeah. I mean, Jack did not see any humor in that whatsoever, and he was always one that would carry a grudge. Yeah. And he owed you one. He was going to pay you back. And then actually after we were all retired, then we became a lot closer with Jack. Now we text back and forth and just, you know, really, I really love those guys. I have so much respect for them.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that when you look at racing today, that camaraderie between the teams and the competitors is very different. It's obviously become much more of a business-oriented sport than what it used to be. But you look back at those battles and you talk about it, you know, with, you guys probably gave Sprague a lot of grief. And
we did.
Yeah. And he probably takes a lot more of it now than he did then.
But when he beat us, it was huge for him. Yeah. And he beat us a lot. Yeah. You know. So.
Did you race was he in the late models while you were running the late model stuff too?
Yes, but we didn't race against each other. We probably did a couple places, but I didn't know him.
That's why they called him One Track Jack, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. He had a couple places he ran pretty good every time he went.
Yeah. And, you know, I think when you go back and you talk about that camaraderie between the competitors, that's really what drew the fans in, was they knew that you guys were going to knock the shit out of each other on the racetrack. And you guys were also having fun off the racetrack. And I think the fans saw how much fun the Truck Series was for the competitors, and it drew people that didn't necessarily always just want to follow Cup racing, I guess is my point.
I have to be really careful how I say what I'm getting ready to say, but and I'll probably get in trouble. My wife will probably get the hook and pull me out of here. But you know, Rusty and I are good friends, Rusty Wallace, and we were talking about this last week. Him and Bobby Labonte and I was sitting around talking, and I'm like, you know what, I think the racing today is really good. I love this car that they have in the Cup Series. I love the way the trucks are. The trucks you can still work on. You can still get a little bit of an aero advantage if you work really, really hard. I really, really love it. But in 95 and 90, we had men. Yeah. They don't have men anymore. Yeah. They have a lot of guys that are really high technical. You know, their fitness program is impeccable now today, but they fall out of the seat way more than we probably did. And it's insane that with all the tools they have in the toolbox, it's that hard. But they're little guys, they're smaller guys, and we're finding out all the time that the smaller frame and the less weight you have and the shorter you are, you're like a jockey.
Yeah.
You know, Kyle Larson should win every race, right?
Yeah.
Well, he used to, but
Yeah.
But it's really crazy. I absolutely have become a huge fan, and I love our racing now. But we need more of those rivalries.
Yeah.
We need the Jack getting mad at, you know, we need, you had rivalries all the time.
Absolutely.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And you just had to know how to take you, because you would play games and you were really good at it, and it gave you an advantage at times. And so we don't see enough of that, in my opinion, today. Although, like I said, I got to be careful. I love our racing.
Yeah.
I still love our sport. But with the trucks, we were elbows up,
hammer down,
gloves off, ready to go.
Yeah, and I think that I'm with you. I love everything about our sport, and it's what got me what I have today and what I love to do. I love to watch it. I love to do it, and be a part of everything that goes on. The thing that I try to explain to people about that, most of our generation of guys now, super young.
Yep.
And most of them are becoming adults right in front of our eyes,
Yes.
right? You look at Joey Logano. You look at William Byron.
Joey's a veteran now.
Yeah, Joey's a veteran. Kyle Busch.
Yes, Kyle Busch.
And
we're like, what happened to Kyle
The natural
Busch?
evolution of life is you become hopefully more mature. You have a family, and those men become men and understand how to lead a team and do the things that they do. But a lot of them are just trying to figure out who they are, as far as how to express themselves, how to go out and run into somebody on the racetrack and not come in and
how can they
say
have a
you're
married
guilty.
life? How can they have children? What's
circle of
next
life.
for the circle of
they're
life?
trying to figure that circle of life out. So I think our runway for those young competitors to develop into some of those rivalries. It's just like yesterday, right? Like you watched that race and Josh Berry just knocked the hell out of Carson Hocevar. He ran into him in one corner and
he probably had it coming.
He probably had it coming. But it's rough. Some of those guys are talk Josh Berry. He was a lot older when he started, and you run him off the racetrack, he's coming right back. He's going to run you off the racetrack.
He's an old late model guy.
He's not going to worry about the consequences. We'll worry about the consequences later. But it's definitely an interesting dynamic of how all that evolves and how our drivers evolve into those personalities.
I love watching some of the guys. Of course, I'm a how can you not be a SVG fan on road courses? I love Christopher Bell. I love Kyle Larson. And I love how these guys, they kind of race you how you race them. And if you race them clean, they're not just going to come in there and dump you.
Right.
I saw some opportunities for the 19. He could have dumped Shane.
Yeah.
They're on them restarts there. He could have just run it in there until he turned him around, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that respect will come back. One of the problems, and I talked to Ron about this, Ron Hornaday, when he came back and ran some truck races, he goes, these kids don't know how to pass. So the only way they can pass you is to knock you out of the way. And I'm like, well, I'm fine with somebody knocking me out of the way to win a race. If you wreck me, we're going to have some problems.
Yeah.
Don't wreck me. If you need to move me to win a race, I'll probably move you the next time the shoe's on the other foot. But we don't need to crash each other and tear up people's race cars for it. And I think we're seeing a lot of that in the Cup Series.
Yeah. We're
seeing a lot of people crash people, but we're also seeing people go, if you don't race me like that, I won't race you like that.
Yeah.
Which makes a good show.
And that's really how it worked, right?
Yeah.
That's how you learned when you came into the Cup Series and if you ran over somebody, they were gonna run over you, but you were also gonna hear about it. And whether it was, for me, it was Bobby Hamilton, it was Rusty Wallace, it was Dale Jarrett, it was you, it was all the guys who had been there for a while to say, hey, guess what? That's really good, but you shouldn't do it that way.
Right.
Because if you continue doing it that way, you're going to have a hard time getting in your pit stall. You're going to have a hard time,
Exactly.
You're going to have a hard time doing a lot of things that are just going to make your day.
Your tire carrier is going to be scared to run out there in front of you with tires.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, you talk about, we talk about the Cup experience. You go from the trucks and you guys decide to go Cup racing. And I think that jump from whether it's truck or Xfinity, even in today's world, is very similar to when you went from trucks to Cup and did the things you do. What were the biggest differences at that time as a driver that you had to get used to from making that jump?
I explain it to people like if you were a high school quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
you're the man.
Yeah.
And you're winning all the games. And then you go to college and go, wow, this is hard.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you get a chance to go to the pros and find out that, hell, you're on the bench half the time because you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And in the trucks, I had a great truck and I had a great race team. I probably had tools that a lot of the other drivers didn't have. So it gave me a little bit of an advantage, and I won. And there'd be 6 or 7 Cup guys over there in the truck race, and we'd end up, Ron or I would win, or Jack, or one of us short track guys would win the race.
Yeah.
And that gives your confidence level an amazing boost. Then I went to the Cup Series. I found myself racing harder than I've ever raced in my life against Terry Labonte for 25th.
Yeah.
And he was the champion the year before. And went, man, this is hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard. Not everybody gets to jump in Dale Sr.'s car and go win Atlanta as soon as they get in there. I mean, that was such an amazing thing. That was a perfect thing to happen at that moment.
Yeah.
But it also shot your career through the roof immediately.
Yeah. And I think when you look back at your time when you jumped into the Cup Series, very unique time. You could just basically go out and say, hey, you want to sponsor my car? Sure. Yeah. How much you need?
Yeah.
And, the growth of everything that happened. When you go back and look at that and you go back now, a lot of pressure being Senior's teammate.
Mm-hmm.
We both got to live that in some way,
Mm-hmm.
shape, or form, being on and in the same organization as Dale. What was it like when you came in? Was he, hey, I want you here? Was he, hey, we don't need 2 cars? What was that like?
It was more of the latter.
Yeah, really?
He didn't want a teammate.
Yeah.
And I think I had not stolen, but I'd acquired some of his fans because I was in the Goodwrench truck.
Yeah.
And that wasn't my fault. That was our sponsor,
same.
right?
Yeah, I had the same deal.
And so it was a tough road. And sadly, we lost Dale at the pinnacle of our relationship. We had never gotten along better. We were at Texas, and he was always rough and gruff. And even if he liked you, he didn't want you to know he liked you.
Yeah.
And he was like 40th on the sheet, and the 31 car was top of the board. And he asked Richard, see if you can get Skinner to run this car a couple laps. You don't see that happen anymore in today's world. But I got in the car, my very first lap, put it 3rd on the board. Came in, he goes, man, you made me look stupid. I'm like, well, wait a minute. There's like 5 minutes left to practice, right? I said, let's talk about why I ran 7/10 of a lap faster in 1 lap.
Yeah.
And so I told him what I was doing coming to the flag, and he goes, oh my God, I'm not doing that. He goes, I'm running like we're in race pace. Well, we're in qualifying trim. It's time to go. And he jumped back out there and he ran good in the race. And our relationship did a complete flip-flop. Then I think Dale realized that sometimes having a teammate can be beneficial.
Yeah.
He's still not going to let me win. He's not going to give you a spot, not going to do anything for you. But I think he gained, I finally got a little respect from Dale, and we got along wonderful. And, when we lost Dale, I swear, to this moment, I believe I would have won plenty of races the next couple of years, and he would have won that other championship. I mean, he was in a good spot. He'd got some surgery. He's, physically and mentally in a really, really good spot. I think he was ready to go.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize how prepared the team was in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
You go back, and obviously he won the Daytona 500 in 98. The struggles of 99.
I know I pushed him by Jeff Gordon.
Yeah. But I mean, the struggles of the RCR team in 98, 99, 2000 were real.
Yes.
As far as the performance went. And when you go back and you look at 2001, Dale passing away, those cars were ready. And that's one reason that I was able to win at Atlanta.
Mhm.
And we were competitive that year, week in and week out for the most part as we went to the racetrack. And that's because they had to have a huge push to try to get that championship.
That might have been why he was a little bit bitter with the whole, okay, we're starting a truck team, we got these, we're doing. I think he might have thought Richard was trying to do too much,
Mm-hmm.
and then next thing you know, he's a car owner, and now he gets it, right?
Yeah.
So that could have had some to do with that, but the race team, Richard Childress is a racer, man,
Yeah.
and he had a lot of good qualified people working on those cars.
Yeah. When you go back and you look at the cup piece of the career, what's the one day you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe we did not just win that race?
Well, Atlanta for sure was the first time. I mean, I was just playing with them.
Yeah.
And I'd run about 3 laps. I'd jump out there about a second, and I'd say, just tell me whatever second place is running. We just slowed down and just rode right there. I was hearing Gene Petty in my ear going, win this race going as slow as you can go.
Right.
And, I was never smart enough to do that. And it was there. Everything was perfect. And I think a rod bolt broke or something, a $5 part with handful of laps to go. That was big. I mean, we had a 6-second lead at Pocono. They threw the caution out. Larry said, well, whatever you do, they're going to do the opposite. What do you want to do? And I said, well, that's what they pay you for.
Yeah.
And he said, stay out. Every car behind me came in.
Oh, my gosh.
And so I'm stuck out there on old tires. I think we started the race with 4 laps to go, finished 6th. So there's some times where we just had a dominant car, led the most laps, sat on the pole, run front, and either the tire would blow out because I drove it too hard or I ran over something, or a chunk of rubber at Martinsville got in the alternator and had to come in and check. It goes on and on and on and on. So we kind of based ourselves on the best shoulda, coulda, woulda team in that era.
Yeah.
But it's still, I have no regrets. I don't have any regrets. I regret some of the decisions I made. Probably the biggest thing I regret in my career was getting back in the car too quick after the Texas crash. I shouldn't have been in a race car. I was claustrophobic. I was still hurt, bad concussion. Back in them days, NASCAR didn't have much of a protocol.
No. You
okay? Yeah. How many fingers you see? 3. Okay, close enough. Let's go.
And I think that the way that we were brought up racing, you raced to put food on the table.
Yes.
And you were never hurt.
No.
I mean,
no matter how bad you were hurt, you were never hurt. And there was not a time. I mean, you have those moments. I have those moments where you shouldn't have been in a race car, but it still paid money to start the race. Yes.
And you had to be in the race car to pay the bills because that's how you raced. You raced by selling your old car. You raced by the prize money so you could buy tires, and you had to show back up.
Yeah. And I think, you see this happen in the music industry a lot. You'll see guys that was good at playing a guitar, and then all of a sudden they're a rock star.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're buying a jet airplane and a farm and a motorhome. And that's who I was. I'd never had anything. And I started making money, and I'm buying farms and Harleys and Cadillacs and, motorhomes. And the next thing you know, that right front tire blows out and you go, ooh.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not far from this all being over.
Yeah.
This could end the next race. So, I think a lot of times that's why I think having a good support system around you nowadays, some of the tools that these young guys have, and NASCAR stepping in and having the protocols that they have to not let you self-destruct.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing in today's world.
I agree. And I think it's important, for people to really understand. A lot of the kids, a lot of adults, right? Well, I shouldn't say kids. A lot of the drivers in general were just not wired that way. And you see the kids now, they're much more in tune. I call them kids again. You see the drivers much more in tune to be able to speak up and say, hey, my head's not right, my back's not right, whatever that is. So that's a good thing. So last question. And I have a feeling that this is going to be good. What was your very first car that you remember driving on the street that was yours?
Well, I wasn't supposed to be on the street because I didn't have a driver's license,
Right.
but I had an old 53 Chevy truck that I would sneak out and go down the road with. But my first car that I had was a 55 Ford truck, and still have it. I gave it to my son, Jamie. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I restored the thing several years ago, and a customer of my mom's said, if I gave you that truck, would you promise to never let it out of your family? And I said, yes, sir. And I didn't. So now my son has it, and then his son will have it. So it was a 55 Ford truck.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I remember my first car opportunity that I had was a 55 Chevy in a race car. And my dad brought me in the garage and he said, all right, we got a decision to make. We can sell that one and race that one and hope that it all works out, or we can quit racing and restore this. So obviously we know the right choice. We know the decision. We know the decision from there. But
if this one over here does good, I can buy all of those I want.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it all worked out.
Yeah.
It all worked out. But Mike, I appreciate you taking, we could talk for 3 hours. We'll have to come back and do this again, but I appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for everything that you've done and do for our sport and keeping racing alive and well.
I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
Man.